Hey kids, welcome back. Once again, we're daring to be different. Smith Motorworks, we got something that you may not have heard of before. 1960 Studebaker Champ pickup. And definitely check out what's under the hood. It's not what you expect. Let's go. All right, so some of you may already know what a Champ is. Some of you may not, and you know what Studebaker is. Some of you may not know about either one. Well, I'll tell you, Studebaker was once a pretty proud vehicle manufacturer, going all the way back to the wagon days. Made some really decent cars, but like a lot of independents, just really couldn't hang on. But they lasted longer than a lot of others. But let's talk about this specific truck here and what makes it pretty unique. 1960, first year for this model. Kind of outdated even from the start, but definitely a unique vehicle. Studebaker was pretty much already dead, but they didn't know it yet. But they needed a new truck. The previous truck generation, the R series that they had, came out in 1949, and everybody was moving to more of a kind of a slab-sided, or I guess integrated fenders, and more of a car-like body on trucks. I'm talking about the big three, and they just could not afford to tool up a new truck body. So they had this really good idea to take their pretty popular, kind of revolutionary compact car, which there's a pretty good story about that, called the Lark, and turn it into a truck. So how did they do that? Well, they basically took from here forward of a Lark sedan. I mean, everything is the same as a Lark. The fender, windshield, door, hood, nose piece, straight off the Lark. You can see there's kind of a really odd cut on the front here that the Lark wouldn't have had. This panel on the front here would have went all the way across. This opening down here, this would have been closed off. You see that there? It's kind of notched to glue the frame. I got the front bumper off of this. And they put it on pretty much the same old chassis that they had been using since 1949, including the bed. That's why you got this kind of weird stylistic mismatch, because the bed on these was really pretty advanced in 49. A lot of trucks had a little running board kind of going on there. Well, they kind of had a more of a smooth kind of roll coming down the side here, whereas a lot of step side trucks kind of look like a toolbox or something. And the fenders might have been pretty sharp, but they had the big flat side and a little roll over the top and maybe an angle or something and some stake pockets and all that. Well, this is, really kind of integrated, but they knew we don't have any money to make a new bed, so they just used the old 49 style bed. Now, I have read that maybe it's not the exact same bed. It's got some minor tweaks to it, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same one. If you look at a 49 to 59 Studebaker pickup, the bed is just like this. But why did they do that? Well, the main reason was cost. The second reason was, they wanted to have fresh new look. So they basically kind of made this kind of cap on the back here, and this part's all rotted out on my truck. But just this is really all the new Studebaker Champ truck stuff that they had to make, was just this kind of cap to the back of the cab. That's really the only thing they had to tool, and it really, really, really saved them some money on tooling. The crazy thing about the Lark is that the Lark actually kind of had the same sort of origin story. They needed a subcompact. They couldn't afford to tool one up, so they took their old full-size car that had actually been designed in 1953, and they pretty much cut the front and the back end off of it and made a compact car. So, they kind of touted that as like, oh, it's compact size, but it's full-size car inside, which of course it was, because this door right here on this car and the windshield, that is the same stuff that's on a 53 Studebaker sedan. So here we got a 1960, and these ran through 64. Got a 1960, and it's got parts that go back to 53. So you think that would make them be easy to find? Well, not so much. And you can see this thing's seen better days. But me being me, I wanted a Studebaker truck, and this came up on eBay, and I definitely said, gotta have it. I was the one and only bidder, went out to get it, and oh man, I thought, well, I guess maybe I bought some glass and a tailgate or something, and the rest of it's got to go to the scrapyard because it was so bad. My buddy went with me, and this was sitting on a farm. I think it had plates on it that said 1986 or something like that, and I think that's the last time it had moved. I've had this for, 10 years or something like that. But they had a tractor that the tires were taller than this truck, and it would barely pull it. This thing was like locked up. The brakes were locked up so bad from sitting that they literally drug it. So you can imagine a ton and a half of metal trying to drag that thing through the dirt. We finally got it up on his car hauler, got it back here. Said, we're not going to be able to do the same thing that they did. So we put it on some wheel dollies and rolled it off the trailer, and pretty much destroyed my wheel dollies too in the process. But it's the worst Studebaker Champ on the planet. I'm going to claim that title. And you can see on the bedside here, it looks like, Swiss cheese or something. And, again, it goes back to my saying that, I spend more time fixing other people's repairs than fixing things that actually broke, because evidently this must have had some rust on it, and they thought the really smart idea would be to rivet some roof flashing onto the top of this, and it just held all the dirt in behind there and just rotted it out. So I pried it off and found this mess, and here we are. But it's unique, and I got a bunch of stuff in the bed. Like, anybody's got a project truck, hey, that's a great place to store stuff now, isn't it? But these Studebakers were really neat, because most trucks, even up until the end of the step side popularity, they kind of had a resurgence later on, but they had a wooden bed floor. This doesn't. It's all steel. The whole bed is steel. Now it's got some rust holes in it, but it's not garbage. This is all savable. It's got a really low crown to it, so we could can fix this. Not with roof flashing, but we can fix this stuff. The bed floor, it's corrugated like most of them are, but it's not impossible to fix. This is the easy stuff. I remember the guy when I bought it was like, "Yeah, that tailgate's worth what you paid for it." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." But I've done a tiny bit of work to it. You can get some Studebaker parts. The bed was just kind of laying in there, and the pivots that are down here, they were broken, and those are new. It doesn't look like it now, because I had to, unfortunately, leave this truck set out outside for a while. That's why it's got some biology in the rim there. But the bed's okay. I'm not really upset about the bed too much. It's everything else that is just wrecked. You see these fenders. Oh man, they're not even a really good pattern. Those screws were put in there, and they've already pulled out just to keep it from flopping around when I was moving it. I do have the front bumper. I got the grill. The grill is unique to Champ. They splurged to make a special grill for that, and I do have it because they go for some big money if you don't. But the metal around it though is straight Lark stuff, Studebaker Lark stuff. But you can kind of see before and after. Somebody's bright idea when these rusted out was just to take, all the Bondo and put it in here, and no one will ever know. Well, yeah, this is pretty much this is the good side. They had pretty much just stuck that in there. Yeah, in case you don't know, that doesn't work. Yeah, it's kind of a complicated patch there, but yeah, Bondo ain't going to get you there. This side's actually a little bit better than the other, but still you got the same deal with the fender here. It's just rotting all the way down, the whole edge. I mean, the upside is if I ever found some Lark parts, I could get them, but they're just not out there. I did replace the door handles. I got those. I think that was an eBay purchase. They're not. These are Lark door handles. The 60s were a little bit different. They were inferior actually. They were kind of pot metal, and they had like a steel cap or chrome steel cap over them. These are chrome pot metal, I believe, and they look nicer, and I put those on there. So at least I can open and close the doors, which is probably something that can be shocking because we're going to look at it here in a second. Here, you'll see what I'm talking about. This cab right here. That's not stock right there. That's to hold it together, because pretty much from the firewall to the back of the cab, that's the cab. That's all that's left. I mean, if you pulled on this really hard, it would crack in two, because here we go. Get ready. Brace yourself. Yeah. That's the frame right there. As you can see, there is nothing left. It is so bad. But hey, that's okay. No rockers at all. I mean, get the build tag basically holding this thing together. Same deal on the other side. It is just wrecked. I mean, it is not any good. Yeah, you can see the tire right through there. I've had some rough ones, but this is bad. But I don't care. I'm not going to put another Studebaker in its grave. I mean, yep, got lots of ventilation in this thing. You can see daylight on through the back there. This is actually a seat out of my 96 Grand Caravan that I scrapped. Fit right in there. And here's the other unique thing about it. This is actually a mid-sized truck. Now, I had a 1987 Dakota, and I remember Dodge was promoting the Dakota as the first mid-sized truck. Well, actually, Studebaker beat them to it with the Champ. The Champ was a mid-sized truck, and there was several innovations. They were the first company to offer a full fiberglass service body because, they needed them. Look, they rotted out so bad. And another thing that's pretty common, sliding rear window. Now, this one didn't have that option, but they came up with that idea. Studebaker was, even when they were having trouble, getting stuff out the door and, basically, the end was near. I mean, they made these trucks from 60 to 64, and I think they were some of the last vehicles to come out of South Bend, Indiana, before they moved production up to Canada. But no more trucks after 64. But they kept trying. The people that worked there were loyal. But yeah, look at how bad this is. It's the bottom of the door is all gone. Up in here is completely wasted, and it's the same all around. I mean, I couldn't even open the doors when I got it, but I tacked a bunch of braces in here because I'm trying to get it straight. But it's mostly complete. Here's some of the trim pieces around the windshield. That shifter's just a shifter I got that I may or may not use. Got the original carburetor in this bag here. Here's the kind of unique Champ grill. We'll pull that out. I saw one of these on eBay for just a stupid price, which I hope I don't break this one, but it's fine. Yeah, the Lark grill's the same shape, but they kind of made this a little more tough looking with these kind of louvered looking panel, I guess, opening on the front of it. And they're trying to make it more truck-like than the kind of mesh grill that was in the Lark. But this truck was original flathead 6-cylinder, which that engine design goes back to the 30s. Really good, dependable engine, but by 1960 was hopelessly out of date. I think 61 they went to overhead valve, which they basically I believe they kind of converted that old engine to overhead valve, and they had a lot of problems with that. But the old flathead 6 that was in this was a really pretty good engine. But I got it, flathead 6 3-speed. It would turn over a little bit, and I thought, man, I might be able to get this thing running. That might be kind of fun. And anyway, long story short, there was a valve stuck in the guide, and I mean stuck. And when I took the head off, I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to get it loose here. So I kind of gave up on that, took the engine out, and original 3-speed still on the bed here. Little bitty thing, actually, but I always keep all the stuff from anything that I have, but it wasn't going to run with that in there. But here's the cool thing, or at least I think it's pretty cool. And there's a story behind it. We get around to the front here to see what's under the hood, because this is sort of unique. You kind of may have got a peek when we were walking around there as to what's going on. I'm gonna have to swap hands here for a second, because I took the hood hinges off. Bear with me for a moment. This does have a prop rod. It doesn't have a counterbalance hood. Has a factory prop rod, but I've got a mop pole or something stuck in there because I got the hinges disconnected. You can see the tin worm has gotten into the inner fenders. It's all wasted all the way around, to where the battery used to sit. Pretty much wrecked. Kind of a funny thing if you look at it, and don't know if you can really see down in there. If you can see kind of the structure, it's kind of swinging up into the firewall. Those are like the Lark body mounts, and they're just kind of like flying. They don't hit the frame, because this old R-Series truck frame that at least goes back to 49, but they just left it on there. That's not the mounts, because there's no hole for it back down in there. But yeah, it's pretty odd. But so what's going on in the front here? I just said flathead 6-cylinder. That ain't no flathead 6-cylinder now, is it? So what is it? Well, I don't know if you can see that or not. Thunderbird. Yeah, I used to have a 1963 Country Squire wagon. That's the kind of fake wood grain 4-door wagon, full size. Pretty neat car. I really liked it, but it had a little 289 in it, and it was great. It ran good. Really smooth. I mean, 289 is one of those engines that like a Slant 6 or several other companies have engines that just won't die, and a 289 is kind of like that. They're pretty tough, but I kind of I'm a hot rodder at heart, and dare to be different, of course. So it's like, let's get something. Let's put what it should have in it, and or what you'd want to have in it. So let's get a big FE Ford big block. So I got this. It's a 1964 Thunderbird 390, and I brought it home to put in the transmission too, the Cruise-O-Matic that came with it. I brought it home to put in the Galaxy, and I'm like, well, I want to start this up and tune it and everything, because I'm driving the Country Squire every day, and I was going to build a run stand for this, and by that time I had already taken the engine out of the Studebaker here, and I thought, you know what, I got a rolling stand, let's just put it in this. So I put it in there, got it running, and I thought, I could make this thing move under its own power. I'll just shorten the drive shaft, which I did on my own and put it in there. And over time, I decided I wanted to get rid of the wagon, and I'm like, I'm not going to give this away with the wagon. So I just kept it, and the Thunderbaker was born. Get it? Thunderbird Studebaker. And I will tell you what, I drove this. I mean, I got a pretty long driveway. Drove it out of my small attached garage into this new building here. It's this isn't the highest horsepower FE they ever made, but it's not the lowest one either. But holy cow, this thing will get down. It's pretty spooky how quick this thing will move. So yeah, I think I'm going to keep the Ford engine in it. That's kind of fun. It's definitely kind of something that I didn't plan on doing from the start. But I wanted a Studebaker truck. I got one. It's definitely not a very good one, but hey, I like it. I think they're pretty cool. Not many Larks out there, not many Champs out there either. So kind of makes it a little harder to get what you want if you need some parts. But some of the the soft parts, weather stripping, seals, all the common stuff, door handles. Like I said, I bought those. The striker for the door here was a used part that I bought because it had broken. But like I said, this is set outside for a while, so it doesn't look new. But it was like new old stock. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. They're interesting trucks. A lot of pickups, even into the mid 60s after this was gone, had the fuel tank behind the seat right here, and you had a filler cap and filled it up. Well, this was even kind of weirder, but maybe a little more safe. The fuel tank's under the bed, kind of inside the frame rail, like a modern truck is, and the filler hole was right here. I think I got that laying in the bed. I think I saw that a minute ago, maybe. Yeah, it's down there. You see the cap on it there. I'm not going to do that because it still had a hose going inside the cab from where that filler neck went into the floor, which is probably covered up by the seat. But I was like, yeah, I'll put a fuel cell in it, or I'll put the tank in the back or something. And you probably can't see it at all, but see that kind of shiny whitish part? That's the patch that I cut out and put on the outside, or welded it in and filled it in from the outside. So filled that hole up. So yeah, I've done a little bit of work to it. You can see got the Derby car shifter sticking up through the floor there. Literally, it's just a pipe bolted to the transmission to go backwards and forwards. No wiring in this thing at all. But we'll get there. It's I got a lot of projects, as you guys know, but it's all there. I mean, and it's good stuff. An interesting thing is if you recognize these wheels, these are Chevrolet, GMC, full-size truck or van wheels, because the Studebaker trucks had the 5-on-5 bolt pattern, just like a 5-lug GM truck or van, full-size stuff, and or big cars. The last B and C bodies, the big stuff, pre 77, yeah, pre 77 stuff. So that's what I got those on there, because the rims on this were little teeny tiny narrow ones, and these are off a 70s 80s Chevy truck. So that's kind of nice. At least you can kind of get some wheels for it. But yeah, lots of metal work. But if I could get it to where it isn't going to fall apart when it moves, I may not really fix everything, because these days, kind of the rough, raw look is pretty popular. So I can kind of justify that to some extent, but it really want to set the engine way back. That's the future plans for it. It's welded up in here just so I could run it. It really needs to go back quite a bit farther, but I was like, why not just set it back like a gasser, because this is a straight axle with parallel leafs. Probably can't really see them unless I get on the ground, which I don't really want to do that. But yeah, you can see the spring shackle, and the springs are completely worn out. Man, there's a straight axle. It's kind of laying on the frame there. But yeah, it's just like a lot of guys put a straight axle in a car to make it a gasser. I mean, this had a straight axle. Another reason why Studebaker was completely out of date with any other truck in 60, you know, a half-ton truck would not have had a straight axle like this. But you know, set the engine back. You know, I don't want to make it sky high or anything like that, but just kind of have some fun with it. You know, the motor's got plenty of power, plenty of torque. I mean, I really don't need to do anything with it. It's got a Dana 44 from the factory, but it is pretty weird. The brakes are, I think the front drums and the rear drums are the same. So there's like no axle flange on the back here, and oh man, was that something else to get pulled off of there. Had to heat and pound and pull that thing off of there. The axles basically, when you pull the brake drum off of there, it kind of looks almost like you're looking at a front brake drum system where it's got a big old, you know, tapered shaft, you know, like a spindle sticking off the front of that. So pretty odd, but you know, again, probably something that they designed back in the 30s and just kept doing it. But yeah, that's 1960 Studebaker Champ, the Thunderbaker. Well, hey kids, thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. Definitely something a little different. We're going to keep working on this thing and make some more videos about it. And tell me what you think. Did you have one? Have you ever seen one before? Is it worth saving? Whatever. I love to hear it. And got to do that homework though. Like, subscribe, share. If you enjoyed this, helps us keep doing those kinds of things. And we're going to do them anyway. But, you know, would like to have you join the party here. And we'll see you next time on Smith Motorworks. Later.